It's Wednesday, March 28th, 2018, and it's time for Eezeey Gamer. Eezeey Gamer is the Wednesday show. We talk gaming topics, or I might tell you how easy a certain game is because I'm old and I don't have time to get good at these things, so I just play them on their easiest mode so that I can get some enjoyment out of them. So, topic today, Final Fantasy VII, the remake. Where is it? Japan. When will we get it? I don't know. I really don't. I don't work for Square Enix. I don't have any inside information. I'm still at somebody else's house. I don't even know why I'm here still. I know why I'm here. They're not. So that's also part of the problem why it's like if I don't answer comments and things like that, it's like I don't have access to all of my normal stuff. So I'm a little limited in what I can do. I can basically put a video out and upload it. That's what I can do right now. That's about all I got. So let's get into Final Fantasy VII. When will we get it is where we're going to talk about the most in this topic. Now, I've always subscribed to the theory that Final Fantasy VII, I've always subscribed to the theory that Square Enix would do a remake of Final Fantasy VII when they were financially not doing so well. Now, the original Final Fantasy VII came out in 1997. Fans have been clamoring for this game for years. It's like, remake Final Fantasy VII, remake it. They wanted it remade for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. They wanted it remade for this. They want it remade. They want the best new graphics to make that game look even better. And I always said, well, why would Square Enix give that to us? You know, they're holding it back for some reason. I believe that they're holding it back because the company's not doing as well as it should. When they made Final Fantasy VII, 8, 9, and 10, they were doing very, very well. The company was pretty strong. I think the company is not quite as strong as it used to be. Now, admittedly, when they made Final Fantasy VII, I think they were still Squaresoft, or they might have just went by Square at the time. But I don't think that I don't think they merged with Enix. They may not have merged with Enix until after Final Fantasy X. Don't quote me on that. But I believe as a whole, I don't think the company is doing as well as it could. So I figured it would always be one of those things. We'll release the game, or we'll announce its production. We'll announce that it's being developed at a time where maybe shareholders are starting to lose confidence in the stock. So this would be something as saying, look, Final Fantasy VII is still considered our most popular game. Final Fantasy VII did incredible numbers. It sold a ton. It made millions of people who did not like RPGs. It turned a lot of them into RPG fans. The game was, it was kind of one of those trying to think of the word, probably one of those decade-defining games of the 90s. It kind of brought a lot of people it brought a lot of people to RPGs that would have never played them, and it is one of the games that people recognize. You may never have played any other Final Fantasy VII game, but if you played an RPG, more than likely, if you've only played one RPG, you played Final Fantasy VII. They struggled with Final Fantasy XI. It was an MMO. It was very muddy. It wasn't the most graphically beautiful game I'd ever seen, even at the time. Final Fantasy XIV, they had a ton of troubles with. They basically had to scrap the game and redo it and then re-release it. Now, I think it's doing pretty well right now. I think the game is pretty solid as of this date. But I think that Square Enix has made some missteps, and I think they're struggling a little bit more financially than maybe we know. Now, I don't know for sure. I'm not an insider. I don't have any, real information on any of this, but this is all, just skepticism, basically, or not just. It's me guessing, is what it is. So it's me guessing that it's like I don't think they're as in a strong position as they used to be. So we're going to get Final Fantasy VII. Now, this game was announced, I think, at E3 2015, or we saw a trailer for it or something at E3 2015. We haven't seen much since. I believe that the first part of this game won't get released until 2020. And that is on the early side. The late I'm thinking October of 2020. That's when we might get the first part of this. Now that's being optimistic. But knowing Square Enix, the first part of this may not come out until 2022. I think if we see gameplay footage and a little bit more of a substantial trailer, I think there's a good possibility they could make 2020 as their release date for the first part. I think if all we get is a few more screenshots and maybe, maybe another kind of cinematic trailer where, I think they're going to hold a lot of things back. I don't think they want to show actual gameplay footage until they know that people maybe approve of the gameplay. But for me, if I'm Square Enix, I give them gameplay footage in 2018, this year. I tell E3 I'm bringing Final Fantasy VII Remake and I'm going to show gameplay footage. And the only reason I'm going to show gameplay footage is because whatever system I put in place, I want to see what the fans think of it right now. I want to see if the fans want to do this battle system. I want to see if they are happy with the control scheme. I want to see if they're happy with basically the entire aesthetic of the game and how it is going. And if I get a lot of positive out of E3, then I know I can go forward. And if there's a lot of positive that comes out of E3, we could very well see this game still in 2020. I think it could be early 2020, which means somewhere like March to May, or we could see it at the end for the holiday season around October or November. If they release gameplay footage and the fans freak out because it's not something they want to play, then we may see a retooling and it could take a lot longer. But why not get that information now? Why not find out now? You're probably about 3 to 5 years into development. I'm guessing they probably didn't just give us the trailer. They didn't work on the game for a month, give us the trailer and say, hey, Final Fantasy. They've probably been working on this game for a long, long time. I don't know the exact numbers. Once again, not an insider, speculation. So I think they've been working on the game for a long time. Probably even 2-3 years longer than before we saw the first trailer. So now get the gameplay footage out there. Let people see how it's going to control. Let us see the actual battle system in play. Let us see some of the other side stuff that you're planning for the game, and then let the fans do what they normally do in the age of social media. Let them either freak out or love it, and then take the necessary steps. If the fans love it, move forward, and then you don't have to change anything, and the game can progress, and you can release it. If the fans freak out, that's not a good thing. But then you can just go the opposite direction and just basically retool the whole thing. You basically know, okay, we got to totally retool the battle system because the fans hate this version. The worst thing that can happen is you get a lukewarm response. You get about a 50-50. We like it, we don't. 50-50 split. That's the worst thing that Square Enix could see. Because if they see a 50-50 split, they don't know where to go. They basically just have to keep forging forward with what they've got and then hope that some of the other 50% that doesn't really care for that system comes on board merely out of nostalgia for Final Fantasy VII and at least give it a try. Final Fantasy VII is going to sell a lot of units just off of nostalgia. It's going to be a 3-episode series. I don't know what the spacing is going to be. I don't know how they're going to intertwine. But it's supposed to be 3 full-size games. These are supposed to be games that give you a lot of hours of gameplay. Okay, great. So now we know each one of them is going to be a minimum of $60. So to get the entire Final Fantasy VII experience, you're probably going to be paying $180. With DLC and season passes and everything else, you might be looking at around $300 to get everything that game has to offer. But it'll be over probably a 6 to 9 year period. So the money spreads out. And if you're putting in 100 hours, you're getting good MVPH. You really are. If you put 100 hours into a $300 game, you're still spending $3 an hour for entertainment. And $3 an hour for entertainment is good MVPH, monetary value per hour. Remember, a movie is about $6 per hour for, $6 an hour to watch a movie. And if the movie sucks, then you weren't entertained, and that you don't have it. It's not like you can, have them remake the movie for you real quick or within a couple of years and then watch it again. Nope, you pretty much just had a bad movie and you wasted $12. So yeah, 2 hours gets you $6 of MVPH. You can get 100 hours out of a $300 game. You can end up with a good amount of. You can get $3 per hour of fun, which is a good deal. Think of life and think of how much it costs you per hour to have fun. Sometimes you'd be amazed. It's like how much video games, they're actually quite cheap. If you compare hours of gameplay to how much you pay. So, I put 200 to 300 hours into Forza games, and I spend about $150 to $200 on everything that has to come with the games, and I'm only paying a dollar, sometimes a little under $1 per hour of fun. So that's good MVPH right there. So, dog is barking again. I don't know why that dog barks. It's probably because he doesn't want the stranger in the house still, but shh, I think he stopped. So, if we see the game at E3 and nobody freaks out and everybody is on board with how they're doing it, and they show it to us and it's decent and they show us gameplay footage, 2018, somewhere between March and October is a good prediction. My guess would be throw it out in October. Get it around the holiday season. It gives you a little bit more time to polish the game. If we see it and everybody freaks out and hates it, we may not see this game for 5 more years. I mean, it's just the truth, because they may have to retool everything. They can't afford this game to be a failure, because they got 3 games tied to it over the next whatever amount of years they're going to release it. So it's got to be good the first time. The first time you're going to get a lot of people that'll scratch the nostalgia itch, but if the game doesn't deliver, they will not buy the second and the third one, because they'll have scratched the nostalgia itch with the first game and they won't buy the other 2. And that's disastrous, because they're going to dump hundreds of millions of dollars into this whole thing, and they've got to have it be successful. So if Square Enix was my company and I had the strategy, I would show them gameplay footage now. Show them a lot of gameplay footage. Show them this is what the magic's going to look like. This is how we're going to equip weapons. This is how we equip materia to weapons. This is how you acquire materia. This is, all these things. I'm going to tell you all the stuff that we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. What do you think? If the fans freak, holy crap, we have got troubles. If the fans love it, we can move forward and the game can come out relatively soon, within a couple of years. And if the fans go, I'm okay with it, I still think the game will come out in a couple years, but Square Enix won't feel as good about it. So, what do you think? Do you think the Square Enix is any kind of financial trouble, or do you think they just finally said, let's just give them a Final Fantasy VII remake? It's time. Let's do it. Let's have fun. Or is the company in real trouble, and if this first game fails, do they fail? So think about it. And with all that being said, to the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.